Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hi, how's it going?
Here with another episode of fortean Review. We're kind of doing a new thing here, kind of resetting ourselves because we haven't done one in a while, haven't we, Justin?
It's probably been since like last October or something like that.
Yeah, and now we've got a new member of the group, Cal Jameson.
hey, good to be here.
He's here to get crazy with us and
Oh
put on
yeah,
our tinfoil hats and crazy conspiracy theories. And
I got my Mothman hat on, so I'm
there
already
you
halfway there.
Oh, heck yeah. That's what I'm talking
awesome,
about.
man. So let's go around and introduce ourselves, and I'll start. I'm Ben Soto, and I'll be hosting the show. Um, Go ahead, Justin.
I'm Justin. I'm not going to be hosting the show, but I'll be here and you can look at my pretty face.
I'm Cal, and I will not be looking at Justin's pretty face. Actually, I will be for however long we're talking. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome to the club. So let's talk about why we got into this whole topic of high strangeness and weird stuff. Cal, tell us your story.
Um, wow. I don't know. I feel like it kind of sprang out of my faith, you know. Um, I mean, I believe there's a God and there's angels and demons and all that stuff. And so, yeah, it just kind of opened me up to the idea that, oh, maybe this other stuff is real. And I don't know about you guys, but like for a long time, all I heard, whenever somebody brought up a ghost story or UFO, everyone always in the Christian community is like, oh, it's just demons. Everything is
Yeah.
demons. If it's not, specifically mentioned in the Bible, then it's a demon. And this is said by people who like don't even have any idea what demons are. And I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, but I believe demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, the giants from the time of the flood. And
Right.
so anyway, yeah. So but that all that kind of started, I think, um, when I started watching like the ghost hunter shows and stuff. So I was already a Christian, and I'm like watching ghost hunters and like ghost adventures, and I'm like, man, this is probably mostly fake, but this is based on, you know, worldwide phenomenon of people encountering, apparitions of some sort. And I just feel like not every single thing could be faked or just a misunderstanding. Like there are some genuine cases out there. I feel like they're a lot more rare than what like ghost hunters would have you believe,
Right.
yeah, so it kind of just started blossoming from there, and that's probably about 10 years ago. And just like you guys, I've encountered guys like L.A. Marzulli. I think Chuck Missler might have been one of my first kind of gateways into the topic because
Yeah.
not nearly as fringe as like L.A. Marzulli would be, but Chuck Missler is like a serious Bible teacher, God rest his soul, who like delved into those topics that we don't get into on Sunday morning.
Right.
I don't think they did at Calvary Chapel either. I think he was like a Sunday night or a midweek guy,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like him just kind of like I think his book is called Alien Encounters. Um, that was as far as like an entry point as far as books go. That was probably my first book. It's written by him and I forget. I think Mark Eastman. I forget who the other guy was, but yeah, he goes into all the stuff. The alien phenomenon and how it kind of correlates with the fallen angel thing. And then moving on, like Chris Putnam wrote a book called Supernatural Worldview, and
Mhm.
yeah. So anyway, that kind of spiraled out from there. But yeah, that's my kind of start.
That's cool. Have you ever experienced anything or seen anything personally?
No, I wish I had. I think. I think I wish I had. But
Depends on the
no,
thing.
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
depends on the thing. My sister has some stories, and those kind of probably in retrospect, opened me up a little bit because I believe my sister. But she said when we were kids, she saw like a craft land in the alley behind our apartments
Oh
and like
wow.
a weird blob-like creature come out of it that was glowing. And maybe she was lying, I don't know. But back then I believed her, and she seemed really convinced that it happened. And then years later, when she was a teenager, she was hanging out with a friend of hers whose mom was really into New Age
Mhm.
crystals and Ouija board and you know, seances and all that kind of stuff. And so kind of New Age slash occult. And that house was like definitely what we would call a haunted house. So the apartment they lived in, like the TV, like they'd be sitting there and the TV would just turn itself on, and just kind of all kinds of weird stuff would happen when she was over there that didn't happen anywhere else.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, I kind of live vicariously through my sister's experiences. I guess. Yeah.
What about you, Justin?
So with me, it was growing up in a very spiritual household. We grew up in South Texas, which there's already a lot of like spiritual things going on there, whether it's Christian or not. There's a lot of witchcraft. There's a lot of all of this other stuff, and so I always heard about like the supernatural, and I always just kind of I assumed it was all together the same thing, more or less, right? Like
Mm.
I heard about angels and demons and stuff, and so when I would hear about ghosts, I was like, yeah, that's probably also true. Like our
Mm.
reality is based on the supernatural foundation. Like, why not? Get
Right.
all these little crazy stories and stuff. But I guess like what made me actually like believe in it, like that I got to feel it or see it, was our family was constantly seeing like shadow people, or there's this story that we have, me and my brother, we were in a swimming pool in our backyard, and there was this giant light that like shot down our street. I think it was a blue light, wasn't it? I'm
Yeah, it was
colorblind, so
like
I'm guessing it was
that was like a white bluish light, and it shot
like blue light.
across, like shot down the street, probably about roof high, and it was like a loud. It was a company with a loud boom, and everybody in the neighborhood like just came outside. We jumped out of our pool, went out to the front yard, and all of our neighbors were coming out, also coming out to the front yard. Like everybody was looking around, like what was that?
Wow.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, stuff like that. You've got ghosts in our street. You've got like ghost little boys in the window. You've got just phantom sounds coming down the street. Not voices, but like that those little popper things that kids used to have back in the late '80s, I guess, or '70s. They would just kind of like pop little balls and stuff as you would roll this like bucket down the street. You'd hear that sound coming down the street. There's nobody on the street. So like that, I feel like that particular neighborhood was especially haunted. Like there was just a bunch of stuff always happening at Siesta Drive, which is just a haunting name too. Like Siesta, this is a nap drive. But yeah, so it's always been kind of a part of my life, kind of growing up. You just kind of assume that these things are real because you experience them at a very young age, and it's that exposure I guess I had when I was young. And so the older I got, the more I think I kind of expected to get people to be like, oh, that's not real, all of this other stuff is, baloney, whatever. But the older I got, the more I met people that like, no, weird stuff has happened to me too that I can't explain. Um, I've met like some brothers at this place I used to work. Probably the most haunted people I've ever met. They've got like
Hmm.
so much, spiritual oppression in their life from cryptids and demons and just horrible, I guess if you want to call it luck, maybe. This guy's had
Mm.
his identity stolen like 3 or 4 times, and it's like
Oh, man.
it's and it's, I think it's partly a generational curse. And so like I hear these things and I kind of know what they are based on like what I've learned in the Bible and church, and also based on the things that I've seen, like myself physically, or the stories I get from my family. My mom has angel stories. My mom has stories of like dealing with demons, and my father's seen demons, and my sister's seen a bunch of shadow people, countless shadow people. One of the stories, I guess, maybe I'll tell it later today, because it's a story I don't think I've told on this show or online at all, is what I call doppelganger spirits, or you know I don't know what else to call them, honestly, but things that look like somebody that but they are not that person.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, that's something that I grew up with. So that's me.
Yeah, we'll go to share it now. I mean, you can share those stories now.
Just run through it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first story, it happened. I want to say it was probably about 16. Ben, I don't even know if you remember how old we were whenever I saw that thing, or I guess we saw that thing.
Yeah. I don't
But
remember.
you don't remember. Um, so I think I want to say it was like a Wednesday night or something. We had both come home from church, and the way our room is set up is a little bit weird. But we have like our bunk beds over here. Um, we had like our living room area over here, and it's just one big room, but it's kind of sectioned off to look like almost like an eight. So it's like a bedroom over here, living room over here. And I'm in the living room and I'm like changing into like shorts or something like that because we're getting ready for bed or something. He's sitting on his bed and we're having a conversation about something. And he asked me a question and I look up and I see him walk to the restroom. So he has to cross my view, my peripheral vision. And I look up and I'm talking to him and I answer whatever question it is that he had. Um, I know somebody's posture. I know the way somebody walks. I know the way they move. I know, even if I couldn't recognize my brother's face, I know my brother's face, right? Like I grew up with him, so I better know his face. But he was wearing the same, like, kind of raggedy gray Dallas Cowboys t-shirt, the same blue shorts with the black stripe at the bottom. He's kind of walking like the same way my brother walks, the same speed, the same pace. It's my brother. I know it. I don't question it because it makes sense logically. He would go from here to there to go to the restroom, whatever. So I'm answering his question, and I kind of walk forward to ask him, why he's asking. I honestly don't remember what the question was, but I turn to look towards where the restroom is, and my brother's not that fast. Like even if he was running and bolting, I would have heard it, but he was not there. The restroom doors open, the light was on, but I know for a fact he didn't, just turn the corner to go to where the toilet was or whatever. And I turn around and my brother is still sitting on the bed. And what freaked me out more than just thinking I saw something, because I can excuse that, like, oh, I just imagined it, like I had a really vivid imagination moment or something. I turned and I saw my brother looking at where I was looking at, and then he looks at me and he asked me, "You saw it too?" And I freaked out.
Oh, wow. So what did you
So
see, Ben? Did you see yourself?
I didn't see myself. I just saw a figure walking, like, because I think I was looking down at something. I think I had like a book or something in my hand, and I thought I saw somebody like just out of the corner of my eye, like coming into the room, and then it's kind of like an L movement, to walk into the room, past the closet, turn right towards the bathroom, and so I looked up, and then there was nothing there.
Wow.
But
yeah,
he heard. I mean, he heard me talking to him too, and that's weird.
Wow. That's
So yeah, there was
compelling.
that. Yeah, and there was another time when like Justin was not in the room. I was in the room by myself, and the door opens. Again, it's just out of peripheral because I'm like watching TV or something. He comes into the room, walks towards the bathroom, and I don't really pay attention. And then like a minute later, Justin walks into the room again, and I'm like, "Did you just go to the bathroom?" And so yeah, we had a lot of those like doppelganger incidents where it looks
So
like
weird.
someone else is walking into the room, like someone that we know,
Yeah.
yeah.
like each other.
Wow, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell the second story. So this was probably about 10 years later. And again, I'm not real clear on the timeline, but now it would probably be about 6, 8 years ago, something like that. Um, I'm asleep in my bed. Well, I'm not really asleep. Like I can't sleep. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm lying down, and the way my bed is positioned is like right next to a window, and there's a street light across the street. So the light I get through my window is strong enough to kind of dimly illuminate things if your eyes are adjusted for the dark. Um, but if you can't, if you just kind of walked into the room, it's pretty dark. You're not going to be able to see the floor. You're not going to be able to see anything. So I'm lying down. I'm having trouble sleeping. I can't go to sleep, and I hear my door open, and I hear. I don't think I hear footsteps. That I think I just kind of hear the door open, and I just assume like, oh, somebody's coming in. So I don't get up. I just kind of turn my head to look. My sister comes down the stairs. It's like two steps because it's a garage. Actually, it used to be a garage, so you got to come downstairs a little bit. And like Ben says, you kind of have to make an L to kind of go into the where my bed is now, which was used to be the living room. So my sister comes downstairs, and again, I can't really see her face this time, right? Like I could see my brother's face last time, but I know posture, I know the way people move, and that was my sister. It's the same like white shirt that my sister was wearing a lot at the time. It was like almost like a tie dye shirt. But she comes in, and it almost looks like she's looking like she's checking to see if I'm awake. And I don't say anything because I thought it's kind of odd. She didn't knock; she just kind of walked in. So I'm like, "What's going on?" But for some reason, I just decide not to say anything. She gets closer, and she actually gets about 3 feet from my bed, right? Pretty close. I can now see her face a lot better. Like I said, the lights shining across the street just enough to where you can see shapes. You know what's going on because my eyes are adjusted to the dark. And again, like this is just the way my sister moves. Like she kind of like puts her hands on her hips a little bit, and she kind of like looks to see like, are you awake? Or are you not? And so I ask her, "Are you okay?" Kind of like thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna spook her a little bit, because she doesn't think I'm awake." And I'm like, "Are you okay?" kind of thing. But she doesn't say anything. She just kind of stands up straight again, and then she turns around. She starts walking away. And our nickname for her is Weta. So we say, "Weta, are you okay? What's wrong?" She doesn't say anything. She keeps walking up the stairs. Um, so I get out of bed and I'm gonna go check to see like what's wrong. Is she sleepwalking? I've never known her to do that. So I follow her, and I'm a little bit taller and I'm a little bit faster than my sister, so there's no way that she would outrun me at like her leisurely pace that she's walking. I go and the door's closed. I didn't hear the door close, but the door's closed. So I open up the door. The second door is closed. Open up that second door. It's like a little utility area, basically, that my room kind of goes into. So there's two doors. So I open up my door and I open up the utility door. I don't hear footsteps. I don't, nothing. So all the lights are off. So I walk down to across the house where her room is. I look in there. She is sound asleep. She's completely out. She's snoring. My
Whoa.
mom completely snoring, in her room. I have no idea, you know, like what's going on at this point. And then at that moment, I realized it's that spirit again. It's
Mm.
that whatever that thing was that imitated my brother. Apparently, one time imitated me. Is now imitating my sister. And I don't know why it does it. I don't know what's going on, but that is my assumption at the time. And so the next day, I wake up, I get ready for work or whatever. I am able to go back to sleep in spite of my fear of that, my spookness of that. Um, I wake up the next day, and my mom is in the kitchen or something. I think she's making breakfast, and I'm leaving for work, and I say, "Hey, mom, can you do me a favor? Uh, can you anoint the house again?" Like she does it like maybe once every year or so, every other year. I'm like, "Can you do me a favor? Just anoint the house. I saw something, and I just want to make sure that we're okay." So the way my mom does it, she kind of covers the four corners of the property, and then she anoints every threshold and every window of the house, and then they open the doors, and then they start praying.
Mm.
My mom said whenever I got back home, I kind of forgot about it, but like in the back of my mind, it's still like, I wonder, what that was. But I kind of put it away. I go through my work day. I get home. My mom says, "So we anointed the house today." I started praying. We anointed everything. As soon as we opened the door to start rebuking any evil spirits, this huge gust of wind just shot out of the house.
Wow.
So, um, yeah, that was that. So far, I haven't seen,
Uh-oh.
but yeah.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. Wow.
Yeah, so my ghost story, my first, my whole experience is the same as Justin's. Growing up in the same house, growing up in the church, hearing about things, seeing things. But My personal experience with something like that was when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and my dad, he used to work for these realtors, and whenever they're going to flip houses, sell houses, he would go in and paint them, remodel them. And so my cousin was staying over for that summer, and so he's like, "Hey, you guys want to come with us or come with me? And I'm gonna be working on the house." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So we go with him, just to hang out, kind of alleviate my mom from having to take care of both of us. And so we're like wrestling in the living room, kind of playing around, and he let us choose a radio station. So we're in the living room, down the hall. Last door on the right is where he's working. Last door on the left, and that room is where the radio is blasting. So we got the radio going to our favorite radio station, but we're playing in the living room. All of a sudden, the music changes to classical music, and so it took us a while to notice it. We finally noticed it, so we walk down the hallway, go to that room on my right where my dad is. And I'm like, "Hey, did you change the radio station?" He's like, "No, you guys didn't change it." We're like, "No." He's like, "Well, I heard the old man that used to live here used to like to listen to classical music." So we're like, "Oh, that's creepy." So we change the radio station back to like the rock station that we liked. We go back to the living room. We're playing, but occasionally we're looking down the hallway because we think maybe my dad's just playing a trick on me, right? And then all of a sudden the music changes back to classical music again. So now we're freaking out. We're like, "Whoa." So that was the first thing. The second thing, those three things that happened in that house. The second thing, so my dad's painting the walls. He comes out. He's like, "I need to go buy some more painter's tape. Whatever you do, don't go into that room because the walls are wet." We're like, "Okay." He goes to Ace Hardware to get his painter's tape. He comes back like 15 minutes later. He calls us over. He's like, "Hey, did you guys touch the walls? I told you not to touch." We're like, "No." He's like, "Let me see your hands." So we show our hands. We're like, "Yeah, we didn't touch the walls." And so he shows us like there's handprints on the wall.
Ooh.
And so like that wasn't us. So we take off.
That's creepy.
Yeah, so he has to paint over the wall again. It's kind of like a utility room where I guess the old man kept like his storage stuff, and his wheelchair was in there. And up against the corner of a wall is a mirror, like just a tall mirror. And so my cousin and I go in there, and we're looking at all his cool stuff, whatever stuff he had. And my cousin sees the wheelchair, and he jumps in. He starts rolling around in it. And after a couple of minutes, I'm like, "Yeah, it's my turn. I want to jump on there too." So my cousin jumps out. I jump on the wheelchair. When I get on the wheelchair by itself starts to turn towards the mirror. So now I'm like seeing my reflection, and it starts to drive towards the mirror.
What?
My
cousin way.
Freaks out, like leaves the room, and I'm like, "Wait for me!" And I like jump out of the chair and I chase after him.
Oh man, that's dude.
Yeah, so that was my
couldn't have been him. He didn't. He was like
no. He was away from it. It freaked him out. He got scared and left.
Creepy, dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that was my personal experience with ghosts, a haunted house.
Well, I want to say I envy you guys a little bit, but those they seem like they would have been traumatizing too in the moment. Some of those things.
Yeah, and I think it's our faith that keeps us grounded. Like we don't have that fear constantly, or over us or anything like that. But
yeah.
But yeah,
so
that's our story.
What do you think? So I mean, obviously, it's completely speculation. Like as far as the doppelganger spirit, like there's nothing in the Bible about that.
Right.
So like you're just speculating when it comes to what it could be. But like when it comes to the old guy, the guy who's dead, and that's his wheelchair, that's his house. Do you think it could be him? Do you think it's a demonic spirit deceiving you? What do you guys think?
My personal belief, and this is just my personal belief, like others can believe whatever you want to believe. I'm not saying you're wrong. My personal belief is that it is an evil spirit, that they're constantly around us, constantly watching us. They know what we sound like. They know what we look like. And I think that there's an energy that empowers them whenever death happens. For some reason, they're attracted to death.
Mm.
Whenever Jesus comes across the possessed man, he was hanging out where he was hanging out at,
Oh yeah, the graveyard.
the cemetery, the grave. There's something about that. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's the spirit of that dead person. I think it's just a spirit mocking that person that was once alive.
Right.
That's just my personal belief.
What about you, Justin?
I don't know. But the long and short of it is, I find it very unlikely. It's the spirit of that person. I think that person's gone.
Right.
Up or down, that person isn't here anymore. But yeah, as far as like maybe more as to why that spirit or that demon is impersonating that person, I don't know. Maybe that person like had an unknown connection to it or something. Maybe they were oppressed. Maybe they were possessed. Maybe they had a link to it. And whenever that person dies, that spirit, that evil spirit, kind of takes over more of that personality, more of those things from it. Maybe that old man was kind of vain. You know, I don't know.
Maybe.
Right.
maybe that spirit like just kind of has that like automatic pull to kind of run it through the same motion that would run the old man through, and so it just kind of has that intention through it. I don't know, just thinking out loud, but yeah, I don't know. I've also heard it's an interesting idea, but like the idea of like parallel realities, kind of maybe not so much for the spirit or the ghost, but like those doppelgangers, like a parallel timeline or like I said, reality dimension, where like it's just kind of like fading through a little bit. Like there's like a weakness of that threshold between the two, and that alternate dimension or whatever. My sister did come into my room to look at my bed to check if I was awake, and I was still asleep. So she turned around and walked away. Maybe in an alternate dimension, Ben really did like come in through that door and walk to the restroom or something, and maybe so did I.
Right.
So interesting idea, but just an interesting idea.
Right. I think it's like we can never know. Like we'll never know.
Yeah.
All we can do is speculate, but that's the fun part, right? Speculating.
Right.
What's going on? What's happening?
Yeah. Wow.
So what do
Yeah,
you
I
think,
think
Al?
that. Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm with you guys for the most part. Like, number one, I don't think we'll 100% know until we get to the other side. I think that there's um, more than likely, spirits, people that come across ghosts and things, are encountering evil spirits, demons or whatever. I do think there are instances that are rare where where is the person, like in the Bible, when the witch of Endor calls up the spirit of Samuel, you know that's an a genuine account of an apparition of a human. I mean, the way that it reads, it doesn't even seem like it's a ghost. It's just him there all of a sudden. And the interesting part is not that it happens, it's that she's surprised that it happened. The witch is like, "Whoa, it actually worked this time."
I was just
I'm
kidding.
just, yeah, I'm just speculating on that. I mean, I think that the enemy can empower people and can create supernatural experiences and things. And so I'm not doubting the witch of Endor thought that there were that she could contact the dead. But I think that in that specific situation, it was different than what she normally
Yeah.
encountered. Because, and I know it's genuine, because God doesn't make the penalty for something death if it's just make believe. You know, um, the penalty for cosplaying as a warlock isn't death, but like when you're well, in the Old Testament, if you're pretending or whatever. But when it came to witchcraft and like necromancy, the penalty was death. And so what's the point of that if they're just going on?
Right.
But there are also some kind of more contemporary accounts. I don't know if you guys know this, but C.S. Lewis was was visited by the ghost of a friend.
Hmm.
I think it was if I'm remembering this correctly, I mean, it's really just like a brief instance in his life. Oh no, I think it was his wife, his recently deceased wife. And there was another guy who was translating the Bible, and like his predecessor, the spirit of his predecessor, like appeared and encouraged him to continue translating because he was about ready to quit. And so in instances like that, it's like, okay, well, I don't know why an evil spirit would show up and tell you to keep translating the Bible.
Right.
And there's a really, really crazy account of this woman in, I think it was the 80s, who she was driving um, across state, I think in California, with her son, her very young son, and they ran out. She must have fallen asleep, you know, in one of those windy mountain roads with trees and everything. Um, she must have fallen asleep at the wheel, and then she went over, you know, the edge, and everyone's searching for her, you know, for days. And people people had reported in the area where she went missing. Nobody knew she was there yet. People had reported seeing a woman like that fit her description, like laying on the side of the road and or walking back and forth on the road, like well after she was dead. And then when they finally found the car, her son was still alive. She was dead in the car still.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like she got out of the car, walked up the
Right.
embankment. And her son actually had he was very young, but he remembered seeing what he thought was an angel um, keeping him safe, like just there to keep him safe. And he totally should have been dead, by the way. Like he like the how hot it got during the day and cold at night. Like he had no food, no water. He totally should have been dead. But Chris Putnam interviewed the kid and his aunt. The account is in the book Supernatural Worldview by Chris Putnam, and it's really like, as a Christian, I don't know what to do with it, because she actually, at least one of the people that saw her apparition said she was naked, laying on the side of the road. So, and this is again after, well after she's dead. So I don't know what to do with that. Like,
Yeah.
obviously the kid being saved, the only reason that kid was saved is because people kept reporting seeing this woman up on the side of on this road, and so they knew to check right there because of that. And the cops kept going and being like, "There's nothing here," and they'd leave. Makes you wonder, like, why did random people see it, and then when the
Yeah.
cops come, they don't find anything. So they had to actually go like 2 or 3 times, and then finally they went down and found the kid. And so I think Chris Putnam's point was just to kind of be like, guys, this is weird. We're Christians, and it doesn't really fit into our, you know, our paradigm as is. Um, but really, just to say, we don't know everything. We don't
Right.
understand how God works. You know, like we maybe, you know, if God would allow the spirit of Samuel to come up to speak to Saul. I know that was one instance in the Bible, but these other instances, like, okay, well, maybe God allows that very rarely on occasion. Um, So anyway, that's my take on it. I feel like it's, like I said, I don't know, but I'm trying to be in that space where I'm open to whatever it is, you know, whatever, and I'm probably not going to know in this life, but
Right.
I don't want to just be like closed off, like it's nothing. People are
Right.
just making stuff up, you know.
Exactly.
I'm talking to you, Mark, 6 a.m. Comics. Love you, man.
You listen to the latest confessionals?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah, there's an episode called "Killing LaVey," and trying to get the pastor's name, Pastor Dave Bryan.
Hmm.
I listened to an interview with him probably about 5 or 6 months ago, on a different channel. But it's really cool that Tony's interviewing him because he tells the same story, but he adds a little more. There's a little less that than was on the other podcast, but there's a little different context in this one. And essentially, he's a pastor who took on this kid, and he didn't know who she was. It was a young woman, and turns out like she is the daughter of Anton LaVey, who's like the Black Pope, of
Yeah.
the Satanic Church. And she's being attacked on a nightly basis by evil spirits, demons. Like they're throwing her down the stairs and she's wrestling with them. And so the pastor's like trying to rebuke these spirits away. And she's like, "Didn't you see that?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Wow, you guys are blind." And so it just like that was an interesting comment because I'm like, what is it that these people have access to that they can see things that us as Christians
Yeah.
can't? How spiritually blind are we?
Right.
That we can't see the enemy that's around
Yeah.
us.
We live in like this, the Western society we live in is so secular. Like we're, even as
Right.
Christians, even in church, even if you grew up in church, we're like conditioned to just, yeah, but we believe there's a God, but supernatural stuff, no.
Right.
It's all science, guys. It's all
Yeah.
science.
The other crazy belief that's in the church is that there's no such thing as hell. Like God wouldn't punish us. There's no real hell.
Yeah. Right.
And there was a church that I was going to back in Texas, and I just couldn't believe because it was a Pentecostal church. Like
Uh-huh.
that's a staple. Like we know this.
Oh yeah.
And this guy was like, "No, there's no hell. God would punish us like that."
Wow.
But yeah, it's just
I,
crazy how we make up our own God. Basically, we set
right.
up our own rules.
Yeah, I knew a girl who was an annihilationist who otherwise her theology was like on point, but um she just didn't believe that God would, you know, torture people forever. Um I think so much of this goes back to just like pop culture, like what, like Dante's Inferno and stuff, like the
Mm,
way that hell has been depicted throughout the centuries. We don't know what it's like. We know that we get a little bit of, we get a glimpse from Jesus when he's talking about Lazarus and the rich man. We at that point there was Hades had two compartments, Abraham's bosom, and then Hades, or the bad place, and there was torment there. There was like fire and stuff, obviously, but you could see the other side. I mean, that would be, I think, the worst torture is seeing people not in torment while you can't escape torment, and there's some kind of gulf and chasm. But
right.
then, when Christ came, that chamber, the Abraham's bosom, was emptied out, but there's still something there, Hades. But and then in Revelation it says that hell and death, or Hades and death, are thrown into the lake of fire. It's
Mm,
like, okay, so what's going on there? Like, all we know is like little bits and pieces. We know there's like fire, but we also know there's something called outer darkness. Is that the same thing as the fire? Is it something else? Chuck Missler talks about that when it says outer darkness, it actually means the darkness further out, and it's actually it's like a Jewish idiom that means you're further out from the light source. You can still see it.
mm,
So I don't know, man. There's All I know is I don't know what it is, but I know
right.
it's real. The Bible says it's real. Jesus talked about hell more than he did heaven. So Rob Bell,
Yeah.
sorry man. It's
Exactly.
it's
Hey,
true.
and it's funny you mentioned the Jesus talking about Lazarus. 'Cause that's the one story that I brought up, and I was talking to this guy who didn't believe in hell. And I was like, in all his parables, Jesus never mentions names, but that's
Yeah,
the one parable where Jesus mentions the name Lazarus.
right.
So that tells me that that's not just a parable. That is
Yeah,
a real life experience that Jesus saw, that Jesus witnessed.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I've always, not always, but for a long time I felt, and I don't know if I've ever heard it phrased that way, that in all the other parables he doesn't use names, um, but I think, yeah, specifically in that story, Um, he's giving. I don't even know if I'd call it a parable. I mean, I guess it is because he's telling a story through it, or he's getting a moral truth across through it. But
Right.
so yeah, that's just a true story. I think he just knew.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You guys watch The Chosen?
No, I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that.
Oh man, you gotta watch The Chosen. It is really good. It's I'll get to the segue, but to me it's like a horror movie, like a slasher movie, but the opposite. So like when you're watching Friday the 13th, like Jason isn't in it very much.
Right.
You're mostly watching the camp counselors, and then you're like waiting for the bad guy to show up and do his thing. But in The Chosen, it's the opposite. Like Jesus is very, like, at least for the first few episodes, he's not in it very much. But then when he shows up, it's like, oh, like it shocks you, and then like he does something awesome, and then for me, I tear up every episode. I'm like, oh man, because it takes the Bible and it brings it into our language, because we're
Right.
For so long humanity spoke the language of written word, and now we're the visual, like things make more sense to us when we can see them. And so that's what The Chosen does. Even though they have to make up a lot of stuff, they have to make up the filler things, just the small talk and the conversations that happen. But apart from that, just seeing these guys, like seeing the tax collector Matthew being just hated, like he hires this guy to give him a ride to work in this wagon, and he gets covered up by a blanket, and then he hops out and runs into his little tax collecting booth before anybody can throw crap at him and stuff. And just having him like follow Jesus. But anyway, the reason I brought it up, so you guys have to check it out, is that when he I think it's Nathaniel. Nathaniel, I think, is the one where he sees him under the fig tree, and then he calls him, and he's like, I saw you under the fig tree, and you're a man, you're like a true Israelite in whom there's no deception. And so, and you read that in the Bible, and it's like, okay, so Jesus must have seen him like somehow where he didn't, like, it didn't make sense that to Nathaniel how Jesus could have seen him or heard what he was saying. But it kind of paints the story with him in The Chosen, where he's he's not an architect, he's an architect, and he's responsible for the buildings of synagogues and things, and one of his buildings falls down and injures people, and so he thinks his life is ruined, and so he's under the fig tree all by himself, and he's just crying. He's like, God, I want to, and he's got like the plans that he drew up, and he's like, I'm building this for you, and like, why are you forsaking me? Why are you turning your face from me? And he's quoting Psalms, like, why are you so far from me? And like, there's no one out there. But then when Jesus finally gets introduced to him, and he's like, I saw you under the fig tree, and he says the whole thing like in the Bible, and the guy's like, truly you are the Son of God. Like, it just brings it out, like, oh, yeah. Okay. But it also gives you that sense of like Jesus knowing stuff that he shouldn't know, like, I don't know. Very cool. I don't know how that relates to what we're talking about now, but it's man, what a cool way to tell the gospel story. Yeah. And speaking of Jesus, good. The gospel story, Jesus, when the disciples say, hey, we, it's a ghost, but it's Jesus. Mm-hmm. And, like, there's no, Jesus doesn't be like, he's not like, hey, ghosts ain't real, you guys. He's like, right. He's like, do ghosts have flesh and blood like you see that I have? Or maybe that was after the resurrection, but do ghosts have flesh and blood like you see that I have? Like, and I mean, I know that's not like a rock solid like proof that that they believed in spirits and things back then, but because he could have just been like bypassing the fable. But I think that that's him just being like, yeah, spirits are out there. Yeah, I'm not one.
Yeah, that's very true.
Sorry for the Chosen diatribe.
no, it's all good. That was good. That's good.
I've heard a little bit about that show. My sister watches it. She's got like a few shirts from that show, and she loves it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know there were shirts. I'm gonna have to get one now.
Yeah, they're pretty cool shirts. Like, she's got one. I think it's 12 in like the Hebrew language.
Okay.
But like it's the symbols on her on the shirt. So it's a pretty nice shirt. Yeah.
I want to look it up.
Really cool. Do you have any videos to share, Cal? that you want to show? Did you find
I have no
anything?
videos. I watched a Mr.
Okay.
Ballin video. I can talk. I would love to pick
Oh
your
yeah,
guys' brain on it.
yeah, go for it.
So I'll just give
I
you the
love Mr.
really
Ballin.
quick version. It's like a 20-minute video. I thought, well, I'm probably not going to watch that here. But back in the 70s, I think it was 77, there's a guy in like rural China. I think the village is called Bengdao or something like that. His name was Huang Yan Cho. And he lived in this village where it was completely rural, totally cut off from the rest of, from civilized China. And he worked in the rice fields, and he was building a house for his betrothed. He was engaged to be married. And one day he goes home, and he has dinner, goes to bed, and in the morning his mom can't find him. She thinks he's at work already, but then at work they're like, "Where's this guy? He's never late." They go to his house to find him, and he's not there, and his mom starts freaking out. She's like, "Well, maybe he's at the house that he's building, so let's go check there." He's not there. I think it was 8 days later. So like the whole village, everyone goes searching for him. 8 days later, they get a telegram. This is the 70s, remember? They get a telegram from I forget the name of the city, but a larger city in China that's 600 miles away. It was sent the morning where they realized he wasn't there. This telegram was sent that morning as they were searching for him, as they were realizing that he wasn't there, from this bigger city, like I said, 600 miles away, saying we've got this guy. He woke up on the street. He went to bed in his village, woke up on the street 600 miles away, was taken by these two police officers to a place called a deportation center, and they held him there, and they sent this telegram like, "Hey, this guy says he's this, Huang Yan Cho from your village," and they're like, "Well, it can't be him because you guys are way too far away." And
Right.
he had a bicycle. That was it. No one had cars. He had a bicycle, and it was still there. So wherever he went, he had to go on foot if he had indeed walked away. And they're like, "Well, if it's him, he'll have this like distinctive birthmark," and they're expecting to get a telegram back saying, "Oh, you're right. It wasn't him." They're like, "Yeah, this is him. This is the guy." So they send him
Wow.
back, and unfortunately, he's stigmatized because everyone thinks he's haunted now. They're very superstitious, and even his fiance just feels really weird around him. But his story is literally that he just went to sleep and woke up on the street of this city, and then it happens again. He wakes up. This is, I think, 2 or 3 weeks later. He wakes up 700 miles away from his city.
Wow.
And it's like on an airfield or something. And these two soldier guys show up, and they escort him into this military base. But he says it's like no one even noticed them. They just kind of walked past all the guards. They walk into this office, and the soldiers let him into this room. They knock, actually. Then they open the door, let him into the room, and then they follow him into the room and close the door. And there's a guy at a desk, and he pulls out a gun. He's like, "What are you doing here? How'd you get here?" And the guy's like, "They brought me here." He's got his hands up. "They brought me." He's like, "Who brought you?" And he turns around and looks, and there's no one back there. So whoever brought him just vanished into thin air after they brought him into the room. Kind of reminds me of when when the apostles are in prison, and the angel just kind of like releases them. They like their shackles fall off. They go through the bars. They're able to be outside somehow. And these guys, by the way, these guards were like wearing white. The cops were wearing white. And then, so again, same thing. Military base holds him. They're questioning him. He's like freaked out. They send him back home, and it happens again where he goes to sleep, and but then he actually wakes up. He's like, doesn't wake up. He actually, this time he remembers what happens. These two guys, by the way, they're the same two guys each time. They flew him to 9 different major cities in China, and like he said, on their back. I don't know.
Wow.
And they bring him back, and he has, now it sounds crazy, but they question him, and he has specific details about all these different cities. He knows what the weather's like. He gives you very specific details about what he saw. And so they like the military come, they'd like do a lie detector test on him later. He passes it. The news people start showing up to his village, and he wants nothing to do with it. His life is ruined. His fiance leaves him. Everyone in town is scared of him. Kids run away when they see him, and he's still alive today. And his story is not changed. He just doesn't like to tell it because it ruined his
Yeah.
life back then. But this is like the Chinese military investigated this whole thing, and did I phase out? I phased out, didn't I?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So this is like, as far as the Chinese government's concerned, that was a paranormal event that this guy just
Yeah.
poof, 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 and
Teleported.
it's like one of the most, well documented paranormal, cases. They call it a UFO case because they think that he was abducted by aliens and stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I watched that this morning. And I'm like, okay, I gotta tell the guys about this story.
Yeah,
That-
that's
That's
interesting.
crazy. Well, what
That's
what
really
do you
interesting.
think? What do you think about it? What
Justin,
comes
go
to
ahead.
mind?
Oh man, I don't even know. To be honest
Yeah,
with
where
you.
does that fit?
Like, so I have heard a story similar to that, and this was probably back in like the early 1900s or something like that. There was a king in like in some country near Europe. I don't know where, but he ends up dying. Like somebody either assassinates him or he dies of natural causes, whatever. Thing is that one of the guards assigned to protect the castle that he's in, or the kingdom he's in, his name is Gilbert something. I don't remember his last name. I just remember the very nerdy first name of Gilbert. I'm sorry to all the Gilberts out there.
Sorry, Gilbert.
I knew a Gilbert once, and he looked kind of like a nerd, and so now I just associate that. Anyway, but so there's this one guard out there, and it's his job to guard the king. Well, he hears that like the king has died, and so the kingdom is mourning him, but he's still watching his post, whatever. Later that night, he ends up getting sleepy, and for some reason, like the way he describes it, he's just unnaturally tired. Like he was fine one moment, and then the next moment he's like fading in and out. He ends up collapsing. The last thing he remembers is just going down. When he wakes up, I think he's in Spain or something like that. He's in either Spain or like just a country that's about 1,000 miles away. It's
Wow.
it's forever away, and this is late 1800s, early 1900s. So you get there, it's going to take a couple of days or weeks to get there.
Right.
So when he wakes up, the people of that or like the guard of that kingdom, whatever, they think he's a spy. He's an intruder. He doesn't speak the language. He doesn't know what anybody's saying to him. So they arrest him. They get somebody who speaks his language, and they're like, well, where are you from? Why are you here? He's like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm from this kingdom over here, and whatever. And the last thing I remember is like my king died. And that night I was watching my post, whatever, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up, I'm here. And so they're like, well, there's no way to verify that yet because it's 1,000 miles away. It's going to take several days or weeks for us to hear the news that king died. Sure enough, a couple of weeks pass, the news comes in that king died. They don't know how he got there. They had to send him back. I don't know whether or not they believed his story, but that's a case of transportation that he has no idea how he did it.
Right.
So yeah, I've heard like I said, a story similar to that. It didn't happen to him like 3 or 4 times, but and he wasn't flying on anybody's back as far as he knows. But that is interesting that it waits for you to sleep. Like it needs you to be
Yeah.
unconscious for it to take you. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Ben, what do you think?
I will definitely say it's not something good because
Yeah.
nothing good came with it.
Right.
in both cases, both of your stories.
Yeah.
It just sounds like something's messing with people. You know, it just sounds like something's just saying, "Look, this is what I can do. I'm just showing
Mm-hmm.
off."
Yeah.
Um, and the whole sleep thing. Um, again, going back to confessionals because I listen to a lot of confessionals. There was a
Good show.
podcast. Yeah, there was a show he did about the Conjuring house. I don't know if you guys listened to that one.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
These guys did a test that they got from the FBI. It's called the World Gate, and it has to do with frequencies. So they go into the Conjuring house, which is a haunted house already, and they do this World Gate experiment in there. And what the frequencies are supposed to do, they put your brain, your left and right hemisphere of your brain, into this sleep state. So you're awake, but your brain feels like it's asleep.
Whoa,
And they
that's
were
interesting.
able to see and experience things in another dimension because
Whoa.
of that. So I think there is something to like falling asleep, your brain being susceptible, almost like a gateway to spiritual things. I'm not sure
Right.
um, how to make that connection there exactly, but there is something to that.
Yeah, it's like the sleep paralysis demons and stuff like that. Like some
Yeah,
people think it's just like a hallucination, but it's that hypnagogic or hypnopompic state where you can start seeing things kind of within your peripheral vision right before you go to sleep, right after you wake up. It's almost like a
Right.
different, just like a shift slightly in reality or dimensions. That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it's funny you said messing. They're just messing with them. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like
Mhm.
these are spiritual entities who are literally just going, "Hey, let's screw with this guy."
Yeah,
Like I feel like there's a limit. Like I feel like if they could just do it willy nilly, um, we'd probably hear more about it. And then
right.
and then it kind of removes the whole hiddenness of spiritual things that God kind of wants. You know, it seems like He wants us to have to search for Him, and search for truth. And I don't know. I just feel like if it happened all the time, it would just be too commonplace. You know.
Mhm.
Right.
Um, but yeah, but I feel like there's some kind of license there to just mess with humanity. Like they can
Yeah.
sometimes. And there's also I think that um, the devil. Was it C.S. Lewis that said? Um, it might have been in Screw Tape. Yeah, the Screw Tape letters. But no. Is it Screw Tape? Is that the name? That's the name of the book he wrote, right? The Demon.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
I was getting it mixed up with Randy Alcorn's kind of newer version of that, but oh, that's called Lord Falgren's Letters, which is also very good. But yeah, the devil kind of wants to make you either he wants you to worship him or he wants you just to believe he doesn't exist, and um, so I don't know. I think those situations are like sometimes him going back and forth, like uh obviously in the story I told, the guy, nothing, like you said, nothing good happened, so that was like a clearly demonic kind of a thing, but they appeared in white though, which is interesting. Like even the devil appears as an angel of light kind of a thing.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what to do with that story though. I mean, I just think okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because of the Western culture, we do have this image of like good guys white, bad guys wear black, or if their demons are red, have
Right.
horns.
Yeah.
But we don't remember that they all came from the same place, so they all look the same. Just their
Yeah.
intentions are different.
Yeah. It's funny, my if I ever do my comic, the I can't remember what it's called now. Oh, Days of Noah. If I ever do that, that was the kind of the theme, or the not the theme, but the MO of a lot of the fallen entities in that is really just messing with people. Like there's not
Mm.
like Satan kind of has his game plan, and there's like the higher up fallen angels, and they're kind of working, above everything else to towards end times and all that stuff. Get ready for the end times. But like just the vast majority of like lower fallen angels and like Nephilim and demons, and all the hybrids and the monsters they've created, like vampires and werewolves and stuff, they really are, they just are bloodthirsty, but just kind of like love messing with humanity. So I think when I hear stories like that, like my brain just goes to that. Like they're just
Mm.
they hate us. They just want to screw with us. And
Yeah.
if they can't get us in the womb, they get us in the public school system. With the teaching kids that they're just evolved animals and there's no moral accountability outside what if you get caught. If you get caught by the law and stuff like that. But then I mean, that's kind of like what we see, the tangible, like, okay, well, abortion,
Right.
the school, convincing kids that they think they're the other sex and they are, and all these things that just kind of go towards like destroying children's minds, destroying the minds of humans. But I think it goes way further. I think it gets into the weird areas, trying to destroy us any way they possibly can.
Yeah.
And I'm on a soapbox, so I'm gonna hop off. But yeah.
No, this is the place for soapboxes because I'm 100% like I agree with you. I believe that everything that we're experiencing is connected, whether it's like Bigfoot, Dogman,
Yeah.
even in politics, what you're seeing with the woke culture, like it all comes from the same place. It's all evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's there to destroy us, and it all goes back to Genesis 3.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Man, I wish that more churches would get like, I mean, it just gets kind of glossed over. I don't know if you guys have that experience, but Genesis 3, like we teach on it because we need that for the gospel to make sense. But that's kind of it. Like,
right.
The seed war, we never talk about that. Genesis 6 completely ignored. Just totally. My wife's doing a study right now, a Genesis study from the women's ministry person down at some big Matt Chandler's church, I think, in Texas. And Genesis 6 like completely totally skips over the whole issue. Like this is a thick study. Like this is where to get deep on things, and yet nothing about what are the Nephilim? I don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know.
We don't have to worry about them anymore. That was
some things in the Bible don't matter.
Yeah, that's post flood, right?
Right. Yeah. I think honestly I think Chuck Missler's right. I think the end times deception is going to be primarily like UFO explained. And I think if pastors would get into Genesis 6 and start making those connections with the fallen angels then and the hybridization that was going on, and then the UFO phenomenon now, the abduction phenomenon and the hybridization that's allegedly taking place, it all just kind of makes a lot of sense. And if they would start putting that together, Christians in church, I think that we'll be better prepared for some of the stuff that starts happening. I mean, I believe in the rapture, pre-trib rapture, and so I don't think we'll be here for the main event, but I think that a lot of the stuff leading up to it, people are getting awakened to the UFO phenomenon because it's completely undeniable. Like you can't deny it anymore. They used to say, well, if they were out there, there'd be more pictures and video. It's like there's channels that literally just every single day show, half a dozen or more UFO videos every day, every week, every month, all year long, every year for years. Like there's thousands and thousands and thousands of UFO videos. They're not all fake. They're not all. You can't deny it. And so, but the problem is like Christians are completely unprepared to answer those questions.
Yeah. And I think they just want to be blind to it, honestly. I think they don't want to think about it.
Yeah. I agree. It's kind of hard. It's hard to start grappling with that if you're completely secularized in your thinking. Then you don't think spiritual origin for those things,
Right.
You think, oh, nuts and bolts. It's people coming from other planets. If that's the case, then these are aliens that live in a fallen universe. So they fall too at the same time as Adam did. And why would they? Because they're, if you're a thinking person, you're
Right.
brain starts going through all these questions, and then it's like, well, it doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I mean, the Bible tells us that God created man very uniquely, and I mean, the Bible doesn't say aliens don't exist, but like, why would you think they do? So I don't know. I feel like that could stumble a lot of people. I think it does. There's people like my dad who are like, whatever, the aliens can get saved too, and like, the Catholic Church they're just waiting, man. They're just
Yeah.
like, come on, aliens want to baptize you, want to get you into the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, have you guys looked into that?
No.
Catholic. Oh my gosh, the Catholicism is like all the way there. They full on believe, the powers that be, that aliens exist, that they're on their way, and that they're ready to evangelize the aliens. Yeah, there's a Chris Putnam and Tom Horn wrote wrote books together, and one of them, at least one of them, deals with like that really powerful telescope that the Catholic Church owns, I
Oh
think it's in
yeah.
California, with the
That's a very like
they
demonic name, doesn't it? Like
well,
Lucifer.
Lucifer. Yeah.
I've heard recently that is not true. So I don't know. I
Hmm.
need to do research into what if that name is true, but that kind of doesn't really matter. Like, the point is, the telescope is there to search for life in the universe that is not from Earth. So I don't know. It makes you kind of wonder if they know something we don't, about what's coming. Because the popes. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I think they do. I think they know some stuff, and I don't think they're on our side, honestly. But again, that's just my personal opinion.
I agree. I'm in with you, man.
Well, we've been going for an hour. You guys ready to call it?
Oh, you don't have any videos to show?
I did have a couple. You want to go through them? You got time?
If you guys do, I do. I'm not in a big hurry.
Oh, then yeah, we can go through them. I got a couple.
I was looking forward to it.
Okay.
I watched a few videos leading up to the show, but nothing that was, I don't feel like that's super compelling. But if you got some cool stuff, I'm in.
All right. Let me blow this up here. So this one, I don't remember what country this was in. I want to say it's like an Asian country, but I'm not sure. And there's this red portal in the sky. It looks like a portal, anyways, to me. And you see these white little glowing objects floating in and out, like to and fro.
Dude, that's crazy. Is this a different angle of the same
Yeah, different angle. And there's another one that's like right beneath it.
See, when they have multiple angles, that to me lends credibility. Ghostbusters trap right there, man.
Right.
重新开，极光来着。这你看这个天，长江大桥，看，操，是他妈这个射上去的。
That sounds like Chinese.
Yeah, I'm not sure what language that was. But yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh, that is. I can't believe you could be that calm. Like, this looks like a giant death portal that's gonna rain evil spirits onto the world, and
Yeah. Like, hey, want to get lunch after this? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
What
Hey,
the
I think I'm
heck?
gonna call him to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, this one's from Iran, and there's a UFO in the sky, and apparently, like the Iran army is firing rockets at it.
No. Oh, it's a triangular. Yeah. Oh no, I see. Okay. Just exploding around it. Wow. I mean, it's almost stationary. You know, you can't say that's like
Right.
a. It reminds me of the Battle of Los Angeles. The you guys know about that? The Battle of Los Angeles?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Uh, I mean, it was way back in a long time ago. I don't know, 40s, 50s. But similar thing at night. Is it nighttime? And there was something up in the sky, and they literally fired like artillery at it for a long time. They're just shooting from multiple angles at this thing, and it's not coming down. This is very, very similar.
Huh.
Rockets are even more powerful than artillery, so wow. Where was this again? Iran?
Yeah, this was in Iran.
Dude, that is
And this one is this is more of a Bigfoot one here.
ooh, cool.
There's something screaming in the woods, and these dogs go check it out, and then they just decide to go the opposite way.
I think it's time to go. I think it's time to go.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Dude, that scream is terrifying. Again, though, the guy's so calm. Like, how? What?
Yeah.
I'd be running.
And then Ben, before you play this next one, do you still have that of the? It was like a game warden or something like that that was like looking out in the woods and hear the Bigfoot.
I don't have that one anymore. Do you have that one?
No,
Did
no,
I
I don't
send it
have
to you
that
on
one.
Messenger? Oh, okay.
You may have.
I think I sent it to you on Messenger.
Either you sent it to me or you played it. Okay, all right.
All right, here's this one. Like,
That's
what is
creepy.
that? Yeah,
That's a Dementor.
exactly.
Oh, that is terrifying.
See, something like that is kind of like what I imagined when you said like he was flying on the backs of some dudes. I was like, ah, man, I hope they're not that like that.
I want to know more about this one. That is so scary.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy looking.
It's just hard. I mean, you don't have any any spatial context. Like,
No,
you can pretty much see around it well. Like, it's not hanging.
Right,
It's not
right.
hanging up from something. But
Mhm.
man, I'd love to hear more about that one. That's crazy.
here's a UFO one.
You know, that one could be. We had something like that in my neighborhood. Still here, actually. Oh wait, is it moving now? Oh no, okay. I thought it was moving. If it moved, I'd be like, no. But oh, wait, no, it is moving now.
Yeah, it is moving. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We have like a housing development with like a red balloon that's just perfectly round, and it's just like when I first moved to this neighborhood, I was looking at it I was taking a walk, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, pull out my phone to start filming. I'm like, wait a second, and I figured out it was like just a housing development that had like for some reason has this balloon that's always there, but it looks creepy if you don't know what it is. That's what that looked like, but then it started moving, so no.
Right. This one creeped me out.
Del 2022. Después de unas horas de que comenzara la invasión de Rusia a Ucrania, esa misma noche se registró un evento extraordinario en el Estado de México por medio de una cámara de seguridad. En la localidad de San Vicente Chicoloapan, en el Estado de México, en un sitio ubicado cerca de Río Coatepec, Huilimega, por medio de una cámara de seguridad, logró registrar a dos entidades que descendían del cielo y se acercaban al lugar, causando alerta y miedo a 3 perros callejeros que se encontraban en ese sitio en la madrugada. El equipo de seguridad estaba grabando con un filtro infrarrojo y era la 1 de la madrugada con 36 minutos, momento en el que los canes trataban de dormir. Sin embargo, de pronto, arriba desde el cielo, descendieron las dos entidades lentamente, acercándose hacia donde estaban los animales, alertándolos inmediatamente. En este punto de mayor claridad de la toma, podemos apreciar que se trata precisamente de dos entidades de forma humanoide, una de estas es de un menor tamaño y la apreciamos del lado derecho, mientras que la más grande la acompaña en todo momento. Se acercan a unos centímetros del terreno y posiblemente podrían haber caminado, aunque no podemos afirmarlo. Continúan su desplazamiento hasta que se acercan a esta zona que parece ser una barra de tierra y la grabación se corta.
Yeah, that's
en ese
weird.
momento la entidad más pequeña se ve completamente de lado, junto a la más grande, y es posible apreciarlas perfectamente a contraluz. Los perros en todo momento tratan de acercarse ladrando. Este aspecto de la grabación es sumamente importante, ya que no habría manera de que actuaran de esta forma. En el acercamiento y contrastando la imagen, podemos apreciar con más claridad lo que sucedió. Una imagen extraordinaria que revela un aspecto misterioso del mundo que no vemos.
It's weird because it looks white, it looks light,
Información
and then it gets up there and then it's dark.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird, man. That is creepy.
Yeah.
Didn't it look like it was floating across the road?
Yeah, it did.
It's weird because it almost looks like it's, I don't want to say like moonwalking, but like because like the bottom is still kind of moving as it's floating through the space. It's like a creepy squid thing. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, even the dogs were like, "What's up? What's going on?"
Yeah. Yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah.
And you pulled out some really creepy ones tonight, man. Or today. Wow.
Well, that's what I had.
Wow, good. That's good stuff. I'll try and have more compiled for next time that we can look at. But that was fun.
Yeah. I had a good time. Good time talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Like we said earlier, off camera or offline. The other Breaking Rad, the other show I'm on is really fun, but those boys are a bunch of like Scullies over there, like season 1 Scullies.
Yeah.
They haven't quite gotten into season 2 yet, and they're starting to, experience. But yeah, so this is cool. It's a change of pace for me to hang out with some dudes who actually think like I into the stuff I'm into as far as that area. But you guys are also comic creators too, so you fall into the category, the Breaking Rad category too. We gotta have Justin on sometime.
Yeah,
get both Soto brothers all at once.
Maybe once he's married and has that married internet.
Maybe. Hopefully. I'm back. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the joke there? Are you
Well,
Where he's at right now, he doesn't have good internet access, so he has to go into town, which is where he's at right now. He's in like Texas Tech University,
okay.
so you can stream from there. But he's getting married this June, and so he's moving away from where he's at. So
hooray!
Hopefully he'll have good internet, like the married internet. That's what we're calling it.
Married internet. That's great.
Yeah.
Where do you live and where are you going?
So right now I live in Lubbock, Texas.
Okay.
And actually I live out in the country. So like, yeah, I have to drive into town to get the internet. But I'm moving to College Station, Bryan, that area. So I'll be living within the city limits too. So that's also,
Okay.
I guess, kind of a plus. Yeah, we do get internet.
What big city? What's the closest big city to that area?
There's actually a few. Yeah, there's Dallas. Austin is not terribly far away. Yeah, Waco. Everything is within a decent driving distance.
Mark is over in Fort Worth area, I think.
Oh, really?
And then I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Reverend and the Reprobate. They've been on our show before. They're a couple of Christian guys who they interview people on their channel, but they're in kind of that Fort Worth area too. So you got a few fellow folks over there in your area. Where are you again, Ben?
I'm in Oklahoma. I'm in Collinsville, Oklahoma, close to Tulsa. Yeah.
All right. Tulsa King. You watch Tulsa King?
No, I don't.
Oh, man, it's a good show. Stallone.
That's on HBO, right?
I think it's AMC. I don't remember, but
I don't have cable, so I just.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my wife and I watched it on some streaming something, but he's like this mafia dude who gets out of prison, and then instead of like becoming like a big guy in his home city, they send him to Tulsa to kind of like start a new thing there.
Yeah,
it's just the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest combination of like cultures with him coming in,
right,
with his suits and his rings, and yeah, it's a fun show though. I don't know if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I would if I had access to it. I don't, and
yeah,
I remember when they were shooting that he was here.
Oh, really?
Walking around, yeah.
Oh, it was actually shot on location, huh?
The first season was. I think the follow-up seasons they were shooting somewhere else, probably California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. It gets the Cal recommend. If anyone's watching, looking for a good show.
All right. Anything else? Justin, do you have anything to share?
No, I had a video to share, but I am having to be on my iPad right now.
Okay.
Because I couldn't get a room in the what do you call it? The sub. I guess it's midterms and it's parents' weekend, so like it's just flooded with people right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, I was gonna share a video of this guy talking to what he called a doppelganger spirit. He's like sitting at his computer and the door opens and he turns around. He's talking to somebody. The door closes, but there's nobody there. Nobody comes through. And then he like tells them, something's in the fridge. The fridge door opens. And I was like, no, the freezer. And so the door closes. And then like his wife comes behind him, like, who are you talking to? Like she comes from like the hallway behind him. Like, I'm talking to you. And like he turns around and there's nobody there still for us. But he's like, I just saw you. And he like gets up and he starts like freaking out. That's kind of where the video ends. But like that's kind of what I was going to use to kind of talk about like the thing that I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys send that over, man. I'd love to watch that.
Yeah.
Sure. And then I saw another video kind of like talking briefly about the there's I guess some lore behind what a doppelganger does and what it is. It's supposed to like be a spirit that waits for you to try to kill you and then take over your spot to like live your life, And it kind of reminded me of the changeling and fairies, and I was going to tie that into Ben, whatever you were going to talk about with like fairy stuff and whatever. But Yeah, so there was a couple of things that I was going to bring up, but yeah, I'm not able to do it right now. So, but I guess it worked out anyway.
Oh yeah, we still had good conversation.
Yeah, it
We
did.
should do a fairy episode at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you want, I don't know if you guys do themed episodes.
No, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
yeah,
Cool.
All right. Well, I guess we'll end the stream here, and we'll do this again next month.
sounds good.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks for watching.